En we zijn live.
Ja, dat loopt hier natuurlijk een klein beetje achter. Oké. SAP Clean Core. You heard that a lot. And I think since 2018, when Björn Gurker first said it on stage on SAP TechEd, keep the core clean. And we had all to practice that in the audience. And the audience was looking at him, what the E are you talking about? But since then, we talk a lot about clean core, and we still do at customer side. But there are also some misunderstandings about clean core, ABAP development. What can you do? What can you not do? Jan is also pushing SAP BTP, of course, and you can hear me talk a lot about BTP. So, what is possible with clean core? And how, if you are at the customer side and you have an SAP implementation for already more than 20 years, how clean is your core? Or where would you start if you want to go for a clean core? Maybe you want to go for S/4HANA. Interesting topic. And I'm really happy today that I have a guest.
Who is today's hero?
And today's hero is Evert-Jan Scholten from Signify. He's a senior developer, and I know him already for a very long time. He started his SAP career as a consultant in 1989, so some years ago, and has an experience, a very vast experience of 34 years as a consultant in the Netherlands, all in the SAP area, being an ABAP developer, and has really famous Dutch customers like V&D, maybe infamous customer, but working for Maxeda, Heineken, Philips, NXP, and we can ask for more customer references on Evert-Jan later today. And I'm happy because he started now at Signify, so he's changed from consultant being an employee at Signify in 2018, still responsible for ABAP development in the SAP system. And I'd like to know more about how you handle then clean core in such an environment. And maybe let's also look at Evert-Jan's experience like ABAP, iDocs, smartphones, SAP Script, BAPI, LSMW, if you still know that transaction code. That's interesting. A lot of different maybe languages, and his background is classical languages. So let's deep into the history of Evert-Jan Scholten and also the clean core at the customer side. Welcome to HANA Café, the Netherlands.
HANA Café Nederland is your one-stop shop for all things SAP. Grab yourself a coffee or tea and John Regulus, Jan Penninkhof,
Goedemiddag.
and Tom van der Broek,
That's me.
with their guests as they chat about latest developments, innovations, events, or simply catch up. Let's head inside.
Welcome Evert-Jan to HANA Café.
Yeah, thank you, Twan and Jan.
And welcome Jan.
Oh, thank you. And welcome the two of you as well.
Yeah, so let's start with the applause for Evert-Jan for joining us. And but also, I know you for a very long time, Evert-Jan, and we started at Capgemini, but it was Capvolmac around that period. Some changes in the names around then, and I think at that time, as a senior developer or an all-round developer, you not only were good in doing ABAP development, but also you could understand about logistics in SAP or finance in SAP. But things have changed, I think, if we fast forward to today's world. But the first question, I think, you studied classical languages like Latin and Greek, I guess.
Yeah, that's correct.
So how did you then convert that into ABAP?
Yeah,
That's another classic language.
That's indeed another classic language. Yeah, it's a good question. Well, my father used to teach in French, so I think I got some teaching genes from him.
Yeah.
Which drove me into studying Greek and Latin indeed, to first become a teacher. I did that for 1 year, but it was not giving me the satisfaction that I needed. I felt there was still more inside of me. And in the latest years of my study, I also did a course in programming for alpha students.
Okay.
And yeah, that was really fun, I thought. So after 1 year of teaching on my own school, I started applying with at the time Volmac, and I was admitted. And here we are. More than 30 years later, still in the IT area.
Yeah, so applying at Volmac, as I heard from other colleagues, also started at Volmac, was difficult because they had the barrier really high. Before you could,
very prestigious company.
Yeah. Very prestigious.
Yeah, prestigious company, yes. But there were 2 tests, I believe. That you had to succeed for the first one, which was really a piece of cake for me. Second one a bit more complex, but well, I managed to get that one as well. And well, of course, you also get an interview to see what kind of person are we going to hire. At the time, they needed a lot of IT personnel. And
Did you, when you started at Volmac, immediately start on the SAP world?
No. I the first 4 years I did all kinds of everything. I don't really remember anymore SQL stuff like that. And after that, 4 years of in one specific language. And I do remember at the time that there was a team already going into SAP. There was a whole group of consultants, colleagues of mine, in the PSV stadium. And I remember one of them was Ben Meijs, who was some years ago in this HANA Café as well.
Yeah.
And they went, I think, for Dow Chemicals in Canada. And I decided if everybody's going to do SAP, that's not what I'm going to do. I wanted to do something else, but after my first 8 years, I still was proposed a job in an SAP project, and I thought, okay, let's see what it is about. And I never left the SAP area anymore, so it was a good experience.
Yeah, that's sort of same shorter experience that because I joined Cap Volmac and I did the training on SAP because they wanted me to be part of the SAP world. And then there was not a project available, so I did some COBOL first, but it was only for half a year or something. Yeah. And I thought, okay, I have to do something different because I do not like COBOL.
Because I did that as well.
Yeah. I wanted to do ABAP. And then the first project came, and I think it was Efteling or Jan Cecilia. I'm not sure, but it's not about me, but it's about you. But and then since that point in time, then you have the experience, and then we were all looking for experienced SAP developers. And
I remember at the time we had an account manager who was very well in moving people around in his various projects. And we were one of those people going from Efteling indeed to Dikema and to whatever you can think of.
And exactly. And there was some point in time that they also decided, okay, Evert-Jan and Twan, nice that you can get along together very well, but you cannot go to the same customer at the same time because we divide you up and make sure that all the people also join you to learn from the experienced guys. That's what happened. But I also like, because it's not only you did a great job, but you're still doing a great job and currently at Signify. But you always also took care about there are new colleagues, and like what we did is the community of practice at Capgemini, and then we welcomed all our peers together, bring them together, and see how can we professionalize SAP development, like with standards.
Yeah, I remember that one. Still very fond of that. But
and writing a document like the point of view on SAP development. That's also what we did. So nice, some nice examples from the past. And I'm wondering, so if we then again fast forward to today, do you still have documents like that, like standards, and this is how you're going to name your programs, this is how you're going to name your variables in your program?
Yeah, at Signify for sure. There's in ABAP Code Inspector that you can create your own check variants, and I'm not sure because of course Signify was coming from Philips, and I think at Philips at Consumer Lifestyle I also implemented those checking variants, and I think they kind of borrowed it to Philips Lighting at the time, and now Signify. So I do recognize a lot of those standards. It would be maybe not very complex, but I would have some problems following standards that were not mine. And I recognize a lot of what I proposed at the time at Capgemini. I recognize the same right now at Signify. So
that's your legacy.
Maybe.
Nice.
By the way, I have to correct your opening sentence. I joined before the meeting. I gave you my Excel sheet with some years. I started working for Philips in 2014 and later on at 2018, but I only became a Signify employee 2 years ago. So that's 2023 and not 2018. Just if some people have noted that down, I want to correct that.
Hey, that's a good one, and we have to stick to the facts, of course. And very good. But maybe because I always like to jump into the details right away, but we forgot about introducing Signify. Maybe you can introduce Signify, Evert-Jan.
Yeah, Signify is, as said, is a separate company which grew from Philips Lighting and was separate company in 2018, and as such still producing lamps and LEDs and fixtures and stuff like that.
Yeah, worldwide.
Yeah, worldwide.
Yeah. A big company, but maybe so. How is the SAP history for Signify? Do you have some nice examples for that?
Then we have to go back into the Philips Lighting domain indeed. Yeah. Well, if I look at and I don't know what happened before 2018 when I first joined them, or 2008 I think it was. But we have coding from way before that. And we have different legacy systems, of course. And
they are an all-time SAP customer, right? So they started. Did they immediately start on R3, or is it maybe some R2 before? But
I don't know. Oh, okay. I really don't know.
But they at least R3 was the beginning, and then now you are on ECC, right?
Yeah. So we have 3, at least for the SAP domains, 3 big production systems.
Okay.
With, of course, development, quality, and validation next to it.
And why 3?
One is an acquisition from Cooper Lighting from US from some years ago, and the other 2, one is for lamps and one is for luminaires. That's also from before my time. Yeah. But right now, indeed, we always have to specify: are we going to need this only for the PR4 system, or do we have to apply it in PR2 as well?
Yeah. And they are separate systems, but do they have the same code base, or is it really different? And
really different.
Really different.
Yeah.
Okay.
But of course, interfacing to via integration, they will come together in the BW systems. Data is coming from both systems, of course.
And what is your integration solution for that?
CPI, I believe, right now.
Okay, so that's already in the cloud.
I don't know all the details about that, but I've seen XI and PI and PO, but that's always a bit far from where I work in.
Yeah. Now we all know SAP. SAP is trying to bring all customers along into our North Star architecture, which is S/4HANA Public Cloud. You are on ECC, so it's probably some steps to take before you go to the public cloud.
Yeah.
What's the status on that for Signify?
We started a new project recently, and we are now in workshops to evaluate on different domains what will be the future solution for Signify in S/4HANA private cloud. There have been a lot of preparations already where I've not been part of, but to set the boundaries for what are we going to do and how is the organization and the governance going to look like.
I've been involved also for Philips Lighting. I guess it still was. So it's also a long time ago. But what really struck me was how flexible you as an organization are in pricing, which is different for every country, and maybe even specific parts of a country, about discount level, about pricing was.
Yeah, I agree.
Really difficult.
I was part of the Vistex project for the last 2 years, and
what is Vistex?
Vistex is an add-on to SAP. It's a product in which you can do deal management and pricing management. And one of the things we did was to make sure that all prices are being entered into the system in a structured way, and all prices that are approved if needed. There's a whole approval flow built for that. And as part of that project, we already reduced the number of pricing procedures being used to a whole lot less than what we had before. I think we now have 10 I don't know 10 in the PR4 system and only 1 in the PR2 system. I really don't know how many we had, but indeed,
I do not know the exact number, but
at least
it was immense.
Yeah. But now going forward to S4HANA, I think even that number of 10 is still too much.
Yeah. Okay. And this you call it the add-on Vistex solution. Is that running within SAP or outside of SAP?
No, it's running within SAP. Yeah.
Okay. And so if you go to S4HANA, is it then this Vistex then upgrading its functionality into S4HANA compatible, or is it going for a different solution direction?
Yeah, I think it will be something on the BTP domain, but of course it has to communicate with pricing on the core system.
Yeah.
But I'm also very curious to see what that's going to look like.
Okay. You mentioned you're a part of workshops, and then probably the term of clean core came along.
At least I've done some trainings, of course, to get more acquainted with S4HANA and indeed clean core. What does it mean, and how are we going to do that? And
so
it's interesting stuff. But
if you are the experienced developer as you are, and you have this legacy of SAP history at the company you work for, how is this message of clean core resonating in the company or at your side?
In principle, I like the principle of clean core. I think in the bootcamp sessions last week, I heard someone say from SAP, the best custom code is the one that's never written.
Okay.
Referring to if you can use the standard, that's always the best, and I can only confirm. But of course, in a lot of cases, business wants something specific, and I always say we don't build it because we like it, but we build something because the customer needs an extra as compared to the standard SAP. But even then, I'm a lazy developer. If I can reuse stuff that SAP has built itself, I will try to do it as much as possible.
Is that also not one of your topics, Jan, that you presented in the past, being a lazy developer? Yeah. Also about reusing.
Yeah, so it's about reuse. Yeah. Nowadays, if you talk about it, or at least a few years ago, you were talking about it in terms of low code, so that you don't have to code everything. And I think if you would ask the same question nowadays, it would be probably AI-driven development that you put in place. Yeah. So also very curious to hear about those plans, because it's around the corner, right? That we are rolling out AI functionality in the lives of SAP developers as well. Yeah,
I have no experience with that yet. I did see some examples, but I think the area in which I'm working mostly is where the functionality is that specific that I don't think AI would be able to generate a solution for us.
But it's also looking at what you still have now on the table is like an ECC environment, and there is no Joule for developers yet in ECC, right?
Well, it's in ADT. So
is Joule also in ADT? Which is
it's built into ADT. So
ABAP developer tools?
Yeah, so it's not for on-premise installations, unfortunately. But it's built into ADT, so that's one of the steps that you will have to make. You have to move from SEAT that a lot of ECC developers are used to into ADT, right? To the Eclipse-based development environment, and that's where all the new goodness is appearing. So that's also something that you can see as a sign as well, right? When SAP is starting to invest in a certain tool set and not in another tool set anymore, that you as a developer also probably have to make that shift sometime.
Is that shift being made also at your side?
Not yet that much. Yeah, we did invest and follow the training sessions for developing in Eclipse, of course, and we even started using Eclipse as much as possible for the current developments, because that's already possible also with a non-HANA system. I always think of it like when we adopted ABAP objects in the past, you better get used to it, because at some point in time it's going to be the only way to do it. And in my past project with SAP CRM, for instance. You cannot do those projects if you're not familiar with developing an ABAP object. And implementing bodies and stuff like that, that's all object-oriented.
And then for if you really are buying into the whole concept of clean core, there's only one way to build cloud ABAP, right? And that's through ADT as well. That's the only place where you can switch that on.
But before you actually switch it on, you first need to run a report and see how serious the problem is, right?
Well, you can switch it on for any of your applications, basically. So the moment you start creating your new application, that's the moment that you decide in which tier or which level. We're talking not talking about tiers anymore. We're talking about levels, right?
Yeah. Maybe we have to explain it.
I saw you writing down the
exactly.
A, B, C, and D levels that you have in the new principles of clean core, right? So if you want to build a new application, you will always get the question: is this going to be cloud ABAP?
Yeah.
Right, and you can only get into that level A, the best level, the clean core level, the cleanest core level, if you switch on this thing called cloud ABAP. So it's only specific to ADT and ABAP development, right? But if you don't switch it on, then we are not going to assume that it's a clean core and not going to be level A.
Yeah, so maybe a little bit about these levels, because we talked about the 3-tier extensibility model in the past, and then if you run a report and to check all your custom developments, then it was either clean core or not. Sort of that was the switch, yes or no. And then if you have this legacy system like you have, Evert-Jan, then you have probably a very large list of objects that are not compliant anymore. And then, okay, where do I start? Which is difficult. And I think that's the advantage of the 4 levels that we now have. Then, like the energy label, A being the best level.
Oh, I like that comparison, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But okay. Well, I didn't
energy label comparison.
Yeah, but I didn't thought of it myself. So
it has the same colors. I think A is green and D is red.
I think that, it's not all blue, because that's
we can start sticking them on partner products as well, right?
foreheads. So.
I learned in the bootcamp that clean core is not. It will not be a big bang, but it's an end state where you want to go to. So
but
of course you don't start.
The difficulty is if you have this very big list, you do not know where to start, and that's the advantage of the 4 levels, because that's more on priority base. So A, of course, top level being the cleanest, as you just said. Then B is allowing classic ABAP enhancements, but following the extensibility guide. C was this conditional. It's probably something that you need to replace or rewrite.
C is if you start using internals of SAP. So if you are using, for instance, function modules, or if you're using direct access to the Mara table, that's basically right. It was the correct answer, but the wrong table, I suppose.
No.
This is where C comes in. So A is completely clean.
Yeah.
You're not using anything internally or that you're not supposed to use. B is when you start using things that are that are usually APIs that SAP has launched, but I have not classified this as released, and that means that it is kind of like an steady API, but it's simply not released for level 8. iDocs is, for instance, a good example of that. Yeah. iDocs, and by the way, not only even if you use iDocs in the level B thing, you're only supposed to use it internally in your applications. As soon as you start using iDocs from external interfaces, for instance, then it's not even B anymore. It goes down to C or even D. So A, clean core. B, you're using some stuff that you're not really supposed to use, but can use because it's stable. And C, when you're really starting to use internal stuff like function modules and Mara and that sort of things.
And D is then when you copy VA01 to ZVA01, and that's not really a wise decision to make. But D is really not clean core, and this helps you to identify in this big list of what should I first prioritize to see. Hey, is maybe we can replace it with standard functionality from S4, or maybe with an add-on that's running on BTP, or create your own extensibility on BTP. That's the 4 levels of the clean core levels.
Yep. So ABAP Cloud ABAP.
Yeah.
That's basically A. So as soon as you switch on this Cloud ABAP identifier that your ABAP is going to conform to Cloud ABAP, that means that you're automatically in A.
Yeah.
And that's everything that you need in order to get your application going needs to come from somewhere else. Might need to come from, for instance, something that you developed in B, but your application is supposed to be Cloud ABAP. It's in A, and Cloud ABAP can only be switched on if you use the ADT, if you use the Eclipse-based environment.
I'm still listening, but I'm looking for the date that there is this VNSG workship on the ABAP Cloud Developer Day. You know that by heart, what the date is, because that's coming very soon.
No. But I assume it's in your Bible there.
Yeah, somewhere, but I can't find it anymore. So. Let's include it in the show notes.
For the guys that are listening to the podcast, Twan is now looking into his Bible and is looking for the date of the end of times.
Sorry, I should have prepared that before, but I didn't. I'm sorry. But we will list the date and also where you can subscribe to it, because that's with ABAP Product Management. And then like the podcast that we did last year with ABAP Product Management was also about the 3-tier extensibility model. Mm-hmm. But maybe we should go there as well and then ask them about the 4 levels of Clean Core.
HANA
to upgrade the
tour.
podcast. Yeah, exactly. But okay. Enough about SAP to you. So then you had this workshop and awareness on Clean Core. How do you now? What is your starting point? How do you translate what SAP is saying into the daily practice of Signify?
No, I think what Jan just said is, you know where your priorities are. Of course, you first need to have the requirements, the business requirements of what we are actually going to build, because I hope that from those workshops a lot of requirements that have currently been translated into custom developments will be skipped, because that's the easy part. But even then, there will be some big chunks left over that we want to keep, that we want to re-implement in the new S4HANA system. And what I'm mostly worried about is the implicit enhancements that we are currently using. They are categorized as D, non-clean core. You shouldn't do it, but we didn't do it for fun. We did it because there was nobody available where we could implement the stuff that we needed to get it working. Yeah. And if we want to replace that with a legal way, a clean core way of getting it done, I think that's where our first attention point will be, to look for alternatives to replace those non-clean core developments.
And how are you going to make this journey from ECC to S4HANA? Is it an upgrade, or what are you going to do?
No, it will be greenfield.
Greenfield,
so,
okay.
Yeah. So
Signify is green, so greenfield.
Yeah. we would call it a bluefield, right?
Greenfield.
Yeah, but that's interesting, because then you have really to decide on every piece of custom development that you have. Are you going to keep it or going to rewrite it?
It was of course it was developed for some reason. Those decisions that were made at some point in time will have to be reevaluated. Yeah, and it could be that there's some standard functionality available for certain business requirements.
And how's Signify now looking at this? I mean, this whole notion of clean core. I've come across several customers and interpreting it in various different ways. I mean, some of them, they are saying, this is my new religion, and thou shall not, code unclean code. It's like that. And this, it sounds very
almost like a fairy tale.
Celestial.
What I just said, I think, that's still a battle to be won. That not only the IT department but also the business has to be aware that it is better for the company to adhere more to what standard SAP is offering, and probably they will not like it for all the scenarios. Mm-hmm. But the alternative is that we are going to build a lot of custom developments again, which we've done in the past already.
And we've learned, right, that modifications, that sort of things, the tier 4 type of, or the tier D actually is level D.
Yeah, not tier, but level.
No, level D, the level D type of enhancements, that they're very, very, very costly, because you're not developing them once. You develop them all the time again. Whenever you get new, releases of SAP, and the bloody thing starts appearing on your SPIU list again.
For modifications, I think you're right. I think the enhancements are not on that list, the internal implicit enhancements. But even then, every upgrade, maybe development-wise, it's not such an effort, but testing-wise, which is involving a lot of people from IT, but also from the business. That's that's taking a lot of time every time you do an upgrade.
You have any testing tools in place to support you in that, or is it a manual effort to test everything?
No, we have a regression test team, which can repeat after we do that already right now. After every release, the regression test, we have a separate environment for that to do regression tests.
Yeah, but it's a team. It's not a tool. It's a team.
It's a team that developed scripts to offer those scripts to the data in the validation system.
Okay. And now, so since you are in the starting point of this journey, so how is SAP supporting you in this journey, like giving you advice on where to start with cleaning up your core?
We've had sessions here at SAP already in the past with a lot of architects and functionals and the ability to the possibility to ask questions. When you really start implementing, you will run into other issues, and of course we do have contacts with SAP to raise our questions even after the bootcamp sessions that we recently did. We can still keep on asking them questions. How do you solve this? And
so, are there still new requests coming in from the business?
Yeah.
And do you handle them now differently, knowing what you're heading for, or do you take the same approach to realize those new requirements?
No, every request that's coming in is being judged by by a board, which also looks at what does it mean if we are going to be using something which will be standard available in S4HANA. Or are we building and offering the customer something new which will not be possible anymore in S4HANA? Then, it will be a no-go.
Have you implemented this design authority? Right. Okay. Yeah. That's helpful to assess all those use cases.
That's needed. Well, it doesn't help in getting things done very quickly, of course, because it's an extra approval step. But I think it's good to have it in place because otherwise you would build something now which in 1 year from now you're going to say to the business as being the customer you're not going to get it anymore.
And how's that working for your current enhancements and customizations? Are you going to pull those through the design authority as well to see how these should be re-implemented in your greenfield environment?
I hope that in those workshops, the decisions that will be made over there, I guess the business will come up with, we want this and this and this, A, B, and C.
Yeah.
And
you still need those.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
If we are going to be needing the same functionality, and the business really wants it, we have to see how we can realize it in S4HANA, of course.
Or the BTP.
I
haven't heard the BTP yet, so I thought I'd throw it in there as well.
Thank you. Very good. Yeah. Okay.
It's HANA Café Nederland with your hosts, Jan and Twan.
Maybe a different angle, Evert-Jan. So you have been, let me just check it out, 34 years you have been a consultant, going to a lot of customers in the Netherlands. But now you're an employee at Signify, but still doing ABAP development, or development within SAP. How did this change go for you? Or is it a big change to step from consultant being an employee? Are things different?
Yeah, it's different. But then again, being used to building global solutions which should be applicable for all the countries in principle, that hasn't changed. To be honest, the last, I think, it's now 2025. When I joined Signify in 2023, so the last 14 years I had been in Eindhoven already.
Okay.
So from that perspective, it wasn't that different. Of course, back in the 90s, where we traveled the whole of the Netherlands to do projects on behalf of Capgemini, it was different. But I was used to driving to Eindhoven for the last 10, 12 years already. So in that sense, it was not a big change indeed.
No, but then also looking at your daily job, is that then, or did you have the same role when you were a consultant at Signify as you have right now?
Yeah, it was
Okay,
the same.
so then it doesn't change a lot, of course.
Mine is the driving.
Mine is the driving indeed, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. But if you look at since you've been in the SAP development space for a long time, looking back at the past and the current situation, what in your opinion is the biggest change that you have experienced if you look at the SAP development today?
Well, for sure with this new S4HANA BTP, the terminology has changed dramatically, I would say. And not only that, but where, 20 years ago, as an all-round developer, you could cover the whole process, I would say. You could create your own order, do a delivery, do the invoicing, test the invoice that would come out, even generate the iDocs and look whether they would look fine. That has become more specialized roles. So you can generate the iDocs, but looking into the details and seeing how they are processed and sent to integration scenarios, that has been too specialistic for one person to combine all of that in one role. So.
Yeah. I can imagine from an integration point of view. But what about, for instance, building full stack applications inside S4HANA? Suppose you need to build a Fiori application. I mean, that covers quite different technologies nowadays as well, right? Well, previously you had SE80 and we could just click on create DynPro and or Web DynPro for that matter, if you like. Now you probably have to branch out to things like build code for your front end, and you have to build it in
UI5.
In UI5 and in JavaScript or TypeScript.
If I speak for myself, a long time ago I decided already I'm not going to specialize in those. Maybe it's not a nice word, niche areas that are needed, but there are younger colleagues who are far better than I am in doing those stuff, and I will concentrate on doing the complex logic on the R3 side. Yeah.
So you do see a splitting into your daily activities, right?
Yeah.
Previously you had, basically the task to do everything. And nowadays you have so many tools, also for instance for forms processing, right? Like if
JavaScript.
Well, that used to be SAP script, but nowadays, if you look at it, how it's done, it's using those Adobe, the Adobe tool stack. So I'm kind of curious whether folks that have been working with ABAP for such a long time are all letting that go, letting the user interface programming go, letting things like form processing go, output management, etc.
That's a personal decision. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
But maybe then also looking at the SAP development team, what kind of specialties do you have in your team at Signify?
Well, for sure, let's say the standard ABAP, the object-oriented or the ABAP objects development, of course. Forms development as well. We do have some experience in S4HANA development. I think yesterday or the day before, we even talked about BRF Plus as being a tool to use. That's all kind, and I agree with Jan, that's all specialized areas where you have to look into and decide whether you're going to.
That's different people. Yeah. Is it also different teams, or is it still one development team?
It's one team. And for the UI5, we do have colleagues in the Netherlands as well.
Also in the same team.
In that, at least we sit in within reach of each other, indeed. Yeah.
But I think that's good, because then you can decide, okay, the new requirements coming in, and then let's see what technology does fit the best for this requirement. Yeah. Because that's the thing, the big difference. Then if I compare with today to a long time ago when I was still active ABAP developer, then in those days it was ABAP.
Yeah, and you would choose the technique that you or I had.
But it was just ABAP.
Yeah.
There was no other solution. And if you wanted to integrate something, then you get a file, and then you eat this file. And then and nowadays there are so many different ways, different ways to Rome. Not sure if that's also an English saying, but there is multiple implementation paths that can be chosen.
Yeah, luckily we have a lot of colleagues, so we can always ask the questions, or maybe via the architect look around to see how this is best implemented and by whom, and indeed following what technique indeed.
Yeah. But even the topic by itself, if you look at ABAP nowadays doesn't look like 1989, right? When you started. I wasn't even born yet, by the way. But just kidding, I was born. I'm that old. Anyway, if you look at the ABAP at the time of in that decade, and ABAP nowadays, and if you look at things like you mentioned things like Code Inspector, but you have things like ATC, and you have ABAP on the business technology platform as well, and how that works together with your S4 environment. So I argue that the life of, even if you would stick to ABAP only, that life of ABAP developers has changed quite significantly as well. Apart from all the lingo that you mentioned already, we have so many systems and so many different ways of developing stuff now. Hopefully increasing developers' productivity as well. But what's your view on that?
I have to admit that it's very different from the ABAP that we learned in the beginning, and luckily we have some younger colleagues as well who learned those newer techniques, and also in the form application, the newer the Adobe Forms and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And well, we can learn as seniors. We can learn from them on how to do and apply the new techniques. So
but I think also you're referring to that the ABAP I did was with Select Staff for Mara. But if you do ABAP right now,
that was in 1989 as well, isn't it?
Yeah, but I was not born.
Before.
I was not born in 1989. But you're still doing ABAP on a daily basis, but you're not using Select Star from ABAP.
From
Mara.
No, I don't know that table indeed. But no, we have to.
Also, the language.
Everybody knows that you have to use, and luckily these ATC checks are warning you if you want to apply clean core, you should not do from Mara anymore. But they are even suggesting which CDS view to use. So that will help us a lot. So that's a great extra feature that SAP is offering, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I also like the fact that you have the possibility to create these what they call quick fixes. So if you have these kind of these kind of lines with select something, not star.
Select mat nummer, mat NR. Yeah.
That you can very easily quick fix that code with something else.
Yeah.
You know that you have the replacement option as well.
That's a nice functionality indeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I haven't applied it yet, but very eager to do.
Yeah. So talking about lazy developers.
Yeah, but that's the tools.
Fix it for me.
Yeah. This is my ABAP. How can you improve this?
Yeah, but just now you were talking about AI functionality, right? In the whole stack of ABAP tools that you have available. But I can imagine that, especially if you talk about customizations that you've built in the past and have to carry them over to a greenfield system that doesn't have anything like that, that at a certain point in time it would be very
boring.
No, well, it would be very helpful if there would be a capability that would explain existing algorithms and what is actually being done there, so that you as a developer can assess, okay, this is the stuff that's it's legacy, old Philips stuff, and this part is something that our Signify brothers and sisters will need, so that you can take those parts out and move it into your clean S4HANA system, rather than taking all the legacy over bringing all the legacy over from your old system into your new. So and this is, I think, one of the features that's being brought to the ABAP, to the ADT environment as well, where you have the possibility not to create artifacts, but even to explain existing artifacts. And I think that could be very useful if you look at the challenge that you're up to.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I've heard that this functionality exists, but my first reaction was I don't need an AI tool to explain me what the program is doing, because I can read it. But indeed, if you talk about transferring existing programs to from ECC to an S4HANA system, that could for sure help, because there are so many Z programs at Signify that luckily I don't know all of them.
No.
Yeah, what about even the situation where you have your application built in ABAP, and then you have it to be explained in natural language, and LLMs are good at natural language, right? So you take this natural language, the explanation of your application, and bring it over to build code, and then throw it into Joule for developers over there to build a new. Yeah, that's celestial. That's godly.
It's a very nice,
angelic. But to bring it over to build code and to have that same description there, put it into build code, and then build code will generate all the artifacts that you need in order to get it to run on the BTP. That would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
My opinion. For a lazy developer. And then, of course, you shouldn't go to
TechEd is coming up.
And then
this is an idea for a demo jam. You should. This is a great idea for a demo jam.
We'll do together with Signify. But keep in mind, guys, that are listening to the podcast, make sure your manager doesn't hear this. Don't bring the artifacts that you have developed with build code, the build code Joule for developers and stuff. Don't bring it immediately to your manager. Do that only after a month. Making sure that they appreciate your effort, that kind of thing.
Yeah. But your suggestion from a few seconds ago is just the other way around as we're doing right now. So you now prompt into Joule for developers and get your code, but now get your classic ABAP into an LLM.
Turn it into English or into Dutch for that matter, and then bring that natural language project use case description, bring it over to build code, and ask build code to turn it into the new style artifacts.
It's a nice example. Okay, going back to Evert-Jan. Evert-Jan, so you are a successful developer, senior developer in the SAP world. I can say so, but you are. What is your tip for other people also to become successful in the SAP development world?
I would say broaden your scope. Don't limit yourself to only ABAP. Look around to see. But you have to have a good feeling about what am I going to specialize into. And of course, looking back is always easier than looking forward. I never jumped too much into those niche products because I didn't like them, and I also knew that others could do that better. But by the way things developed over time, I turned out to be right, at least in some decisions that I took, and that's of course difficult to manage up front. But indeed, look around to see what's available, and spend your time wisely. Yeah.
So the funny thing, it just popped into my mind because we mentioned Björn earlier, and it was 2018. Yes. Keep the core clean. Yeah. And at that point in time, there were a lot of guys from the community wearing the same T-shirt which said ABAP is not dead. But there was not a lot of development or investment in ABAP around those days, because also this same Björn said ABAP is not coming to SAP Cloud Platform. So if we had to ask you the same question around then you probably may be scratching your head. Okay, maybe I have to do something different because ABAP looks dead, although a lot of people say it's not dead. But nowadays there is a lot of investment in ABAP, which was a good decision to stay in the ABAP world, Evert-Jan.
Luckily,
ABAP is the new COBOL.
That's a language for dinosaurs. So that's a difficult comparison.
Yeah, my initials are EJB, and for people developing in Java, that might. But I didn't want to become an enterprise Java bean developer, so
EJBs, the horror.
The horror. Okay.
Seriously.
Thank you.
Okay. But okay. Any difficult questions left, Jan? Or
so of course, always a difficult.
Always
question,
have a difficult question. Let's hear it. I'm really curious.
It's Jan Stuff question.
So hearing about so many ABAP topics and you're learning about clean core and that sorts of things, and you probably have a agenda on what to learn next.
Yeah, but it's I would say it's written in pencil, and I can erase it.
Okay.
Yeah, what to learn next? I will be very happy if we can successfully manage to convert those level D developments, and again, I'm thinking of those implicit enhancements. If we can successfully move them to level C or maybe even B, or maybe even don't need them anymore. And I think in doing that journey, I will learn a lot of new stuff already.
Yeah, it's either that or being a Greek teacher again.
Yeah, that's not going to happen anymore. Sorry, Twan.
Yeah, but I think you are in the beginning of a very interesting journey.
Yeah, for sure.
So hopefully we can ask you, if you have reached one of your destinations in the future, to come visit us again and explain your experience.
Would be very nice.
Yeah. That's great.
I'm not going to make a joke about ancient languages now.
No.
Dinosaur languages.
You may. I can handle them.
Okay. But thank you very much, Evert-Jan, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for the invite, and thanks for the nice conversation.
Yeah, and thanks, dear listener, for being an HANA Café friend and joining in today's podcast, either live here on YouTube or in your own favorite podcast. And see you next time.
And that's a wrap for this episode of HANA Café Nederland. Jan and Tom loved having you here. Drop us a line if you have any thoughts or want to be on the show. We'll be back soon with more SAP goodness. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.
Ja, oké. Ja, ik zag niks. Tot de volgende. En, ja.